Hello, I'm very happy to be making today's video. I bought some Roman Szmal paints from Jackson Art about a month ago in my large haul video, and since then they have been stored in this lovely vintage Tupperware tub, and they've just been a bit of a mess. I can't really tell which paint is which for some of them, so then I have to kind of get them out to be able to read the names, especially of the dark ones. And so then they end up out on the table, and the number of times I've found them stuck to the cuffs of my sleeve because I've leaned in it, because I'm not always the tidiest of workers. So anyway, I ordered a 35 full pan palette. I ordered it on Amazon, and it's this White Nights empty palette. So today I'm just going to be filling it up and then making a colour chart to sit inside the lid. So this is brilliant. I didn't find many palettes that could, well, I didn't find any palettes that could fit 35 full pans in and be as compact as this. A lot of palettes have 2 rows at the top and 2 rows at the bottom, but the centre space is too narrow, whereas this, obviously you can fill all the rows with the paints. And they do fit really, really well. Okay, so I found that the outer corner of the tray that sits inside the palette is slightly more rounded for these 2 corner ones, so they don't fit in properly. So I'm just going to bend them down slightly so that these 4 corner pans fit in. Let's just check that that sits in. Yeah, that's great, and that's not even noticeable from the top. Oops. Can I get them out again? There we go. I'll do these bottom 2 while we're at it. Yeah, so my not so lovely corners are nicely hidden. Okay, I've got one space here. When I ordered my paints, I planned on getting this tin, and so I thought I'd ordered 35, but I accidentally ordered a phthalo green multiple times. Don't ask me how, but had somehow counted one of them twice. So I've decided I'm going to purchase olive green light for the remaining space. I'll also point out that this was never intended as a mixing palette. These are just colours that were filling in some gaps in my paint collection, or just colours that I fancied. So it's not really intended as an amazing standalone mixing palette or anything like that. It was purely what I fancied. I think what I might do though, I've got a tin which my A Gallo Signature 1 set came in, which is now empty because I've made a custom A Gallo palette with 26 colours in it and moved those into a larger palette. But with this one, I might buy some half pans from Roman Szmal and pop them in here and have this as a little travel kit. So I'll probably choose better mixing colours. I think the Roman Szmal paints are all on offer at the moment at Jackson's. So I'm doing a no spend for the time being, but my husband might be persuaded that for an upcoming celebration he would like to buy me some Roman Szmal half pans, but we'll see. Oh, it's so nice. It's going to be so nice to tell what colour is which. That fits so nicely. Goodbye, vintage Tupperware tub. Well, not goodbye forever. Consigned back to the Tupperware cupboard, at least. So now I'm going to paint out this swatch card. I'm going to do this in real time because it's nice to see the paint sometimes. She says swatching out white, which you can't see at all. This was my first white watercolour and I've really enjoyed having it. As you can see, it's probably the most used one in my palette at the moment. It's just been fun experimenting with pastel watercolours, and the titanium white really just helps make the most beautiful pastel colours. It's been great fun. I'll do half the box in mass tone, I think, and then just pour water across so you can see how the paint moves and spreads. I really like this nickel titanate yellow. It's quite opaque, but I like the softness of it. And this lovely rich nickel azo yellow. Aquarius orange next. just so rich and lovely. I have to say that I've just absolutely loved using these paints over the last month. Every time I know that I can be using the Roman Szmal paints, in spite of it being hard to tell which is which in my tub, I've just had a little bit of excitement that I'm going to get to use them. That's the way I kind of naturally feel about them. So I do wholeheartedly recommend them, as well as the fact that the price is so reasonable. I think that's just great. And now that they're in this palette, I'm just so happy. Oh yeah, I'm really impressed. I'm really impressed with this palette. It's holding the pans in really firmly. There's no wobbling around or anything. The spring on the metal bits that hold the pans close is quite tight. I thought I might have to slide them in, but I only had to do that on the top row and the rest just popped in. I've got quite a few of these pinky purpley colours, just because it's not a colour I'd bought many of before. So I kind of went for it with my Roman Szmal order. I just realised I've not been telling you the names, so let's look at the ones I've swatched so far. So we've got the titanium white, the nickel titanate yellow, nickel azo yellow, Aquarius orange, naphthol red, pyrrole-rubin, and potters pink. And we've got the tint, magenta, and quinacridone violet. And next up is ultramarine pink. This is one of the few paints, I think possibly the ultramarine pink, the malachite, and the Van Dyke brown were the ones which take a little bit more to re-wet them. And the ultramarine pink and the malachite don't have quite such a heavy pigment load. Okay, next up, this is manganese violet. Then we've got Mineral Violet, which is one that separates out. And then lastly on this row is Lavender. This is a colour that I'd seen around. I'd seen Daniel Smith's being used, and I was like, no, I probably wouldn't use that very much. I'm not sure I really want it. And now I've got it, I absolutely love it. It's got a bit of opacity to it, but it just is so creamy and re-wet so gorgeously. I really, really like it. The brush I'm using, by the way, is a Rosemary & Co.'s Ivory Short Flat number 4. Which has got a nice bit of spring in it. It's great for this kind of swatching. Okay, then we've got a lovely deep shadow violet. And this is one that separates out as well. It's the same pigments as Mineral Violet, just with the addition of PG50. I think I fancy having a play one day with trying to mix up some multi-pigment paints myself and seeing how close I can get. So this is Misty Morning, which is PG50, so Cobalt Teal, and PV19. So I've got PV19 there in the Quinacridone Violet. So yeah, I definitely feel like having a mixing play one day. And we've got Cobalt Cerulean Blue. I do really like blues, so it's kind of surprising that I've got so few blues on this palette. But that's probably because I already own lots. So I was going for different things. The next one is Ocean Blue. Which is a nice deep kind of phthalo turquoisey colour. Every time I've painted with this paint so far, it's kind of turned out different. I can't quite predict how it's going to separate and move, but I don't mind that. Then we've got two which are quite similar. Which are Cobalt Teal and then Cobalt Sea Blue. I think the nice thing about the Roman Szmal paints, I think, because they're so reasonably priced, and also because they've just come out with half pan sizes for quite a few of the colours, it lets you try out colours that you might not otherwise, if you're having to pay, you know, £14–15 a tube for. If you're only spending about £3 on a little pan, I just think that's brilliant. Okay, so this is Malachite next, which, as I said, is one of the few which takes more wetting. And now the paint that I've got 3 of. I don't really like the colour in its own right, but I do love the colour when it's mixed with titanium white. It's just the most gorgeous minty colour. In fact, let me show you now. So I was just doing some swatches ready for another colour mixing video down here. I just think that is the loveliest mint colour, especially if you're doing something kind of illustration-y. So I guess with my 3 pans of Phthalo green, I'm going to be mixing a lot of mint up. Actually, let me get that white out of there. I feel like now they're in a nice new shiny tin, I'll take more pride in how I'm leaving the paints. Okay, so this is Hooker's Green, which I feel isn't very Hooker's Greeny. If I show you the greens in my swatch chart, here's Roman Szmal's Hooker's Green, and it's definitely up with the olives and sap greens, whereas my other Hooker's Green's kind of a more bluey green. I don't mind though, I think it's a really nice green still. And the next green is a pretty amazing colour. This is Aquarius Green. And it granulates and separates really nicely. Does really interesting things. I think I probably like it as much. Actually, I'll show you this again. I think I probably like it as much as the Daniel Smith Undersea Green. is the Aquarius green. And A Gallows Olive Green Deep as well. I just think these three are amazing. And I don't have the olive green light. I'll leave a gap there until I can order that one. And we've got Green Gold Deep. This is my first ever green gold, and I really like it. And next up is Transparent Gold Ochre. I never really want to buy like earth tone paints because they're not so, I don't find them so pretty in their own right. So I always kind of feel obliged to buy a minimum. But this next one, the Goethite, I feel like some genuine affection for. I think because it kind of granulates in a really interesting way. I'll show them close up when they've dried. Just seems like it's going to be a kind of a workhorse brown for me. I think I said in my recent swatching video, so I did a series of videos where I swatched out my watercolour paints one colour at a time, and I'd got a few that are kind of similar to this quinacridone maroon, and I'm just, yeah, they interest me. I haven't done much with it yet, but I definitely got it in mind to. So here's the Roman Szmal quinacridone maroon, and I've got a Jackson's Venetian red, and then Daniel Smith's quinacridone burnt scarlet, and I got all of them quite recently, and they're quite similar, but I just like the pinkishness to them. Okay, Caput Mortem. Like you'd expect, crazily heavily pigmented and opaque. And really there's not a huge amount of difference. Sorry, I keep pulling this out now. There's not really a huge amount of difference between the Roman Szmal Caput Mortem, A Gallows Morelloni, Winsor & Newton's Caput Mortem Violet, and even Daniel Smith's Indian Red. So if you're trying to minimise your palette and you've already got a Caput Mortem, you'll probably be alright. Okay, this is Cyprus Burnt Umber. And the Van Dyke Brown, which is a bit hard to re-wet. This one might fade a little bit. I'm not sure it's 100% light fast. With the light fast ratings for all of these, all except Misty Morning are categorised as 8, which means, let me look it up. Sorry, I've got a big swatches that I did when I first got these Roman Szmals. I've got a video of me swatching all of these out. But yes, so they're all the ones that I've got here, they're all 8 except for Misty Morning, and 8 means very light fast, unchanged for 200 plus years. And the Misty Morning is a 7, which is from 100 to 200 years. So I'm not sure how completely accurate those numbers are. So you might want to do your own light fast tests on things to be 100% sure. This is the first and only Perylene Green that I have, and it's lovely. I think almost every single one of these paints, every time I've painted with one, it just makes me think, oh, I've got to come up with a painting. Sorry, it's a bit it makes me think, oh, I've got to come up with a painting that uses especially this colour because it's so nice. Which is always a good sign on a paint set. Okay, next up is a really fun one, and it's Aquarius Black. I think it's the most crazy granulating paint that I own. And I know from a recent video I did on my granulating paints that I've got 44 granulating paints. But this one separates into the biggest chunks. And the last one is Aquarius Grey. I bought this one because I thought it'd just be nice as a convenience colour for, you know, more illustrative type paintings, to have this lovely smooth grey. So there's my colour chart. Oh, that makes me so happy. It's just so much neater than what I've been living with for the last month. The problem will come when I want to buy some more Roman Szmal. Well, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. So my swatch card paints are dry. Let's have a look at them close up. Because it's quite a small area that they've had paint on, some of them are different from my larger swatch book. So I'll just show you some of these, just to give you the best idea of the variation in how they granulate and move. So I don't know if you can see here the mineral violet. You can see a little bit some of the separation going on. I think from this sample, the shadow violet and Misty Morning don't really show you how much colour variation there is in them. These two. Let's have a look at the others. Yeah, I found that ocean blue does different things every time, really. So here it is here. The others are pretty similar. You can see the lovely brown granulation in the goethite here. Oh, I just think that's great. Oh, whoops, we cut out there. Yeah, I was just saying with the Van Dyke brown, it's really lovely, but I'll put up my own light fast tests and see how I feel about it. So yes, I think other than the couple I pointed out, that's a pretty good representation of the colours. I'm really excited to have them like this. I hope you enjoyed watching that. Thanks ever so much. Bye.